showing.
Oh,
Now we had a nice lunch last week. I think Tom posted the picture. But we had at Frankie and Johnny's.
yeah. Good portrait.
Yeah. Tom and Emily's friend named Pat. She is a friend of theirs from somewhere, DC maybe, but she was in town too, so she took the picture of us, so it came out good.
Hmm.
I know
Good
you would have been
picture.
here, Dave, if you would have been in town anymore. Yeah, it was a nice. It was
Everybody's a little more long in tooth than they used to be.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure.
Thank you.
But
Ken,
looking
when was
good.
the last
Hey,
time
we're
you were in
live,
New
you know.
Orleans?
Did you ask me that, Billy?
Yeah. When was the last time you were in New
Oh.
Orleans?
Last time I was there was 1997. I spoke at a conference. So I've been back for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. You're gonna have to make another trip one day.
I'd love to. My youngest daughter is a big Saints fan. So I don't know how or why, but here's my koozie.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Saints were a popular team a few years ago when Breeze was there. The Saints were on TV all the time. It was
Hey, they had a great quarterback and they had a great coach. Now we have a great coach. The Broncos actually might have a guy they often compared him, at least in this market, to Drew Brees. Intelligence wise, he's a little bigger than Drew Brees, but he's very, very, very smart. His dad was a pro football player and a coach. I think that kind of helps.
Mhm.
So who knows? Hard to say.
Well, Peyton loves developing quarterbacks. So we'll see.
And he'd love to win another Super Bowl too. One is nice, but if you show up at those places where people have won more than one,
Yeah.
it's like, all right, well, you got one, you got lucky once.
Well, yeah. Well, the team stayed healthy. As we're finding out now, it depends. It's not who starts off the season with the best team. Who's at the end of the year who's got a team where everybody didn't hurt. Like
Who's standing?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, the year we had a chance to go back to the Super Bowl if it wouldn't have been for that horrible call against Michael Top. Shoot,
The
against the
Rams?
Rams. Yeah, but I can't remember the
Yeah,
receiver name.
that was obviously a bad call.
That receiver should have taken a dive and just laid on the ground motionless. made him call a flag. Seriously. Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hey,
am I turned the wrong way here?
There you are.
There you go.
I was gonna get a crick in my neck.
How you doing?
Yep, back in your bistro, I see. Yeah. See, last week I think was it last week, Chris? You had to catch us on the fly. You did something and then you caught up with us later, or was that 2 weeks ago?
Might have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because last week we didn't have a call.
That's true. 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah, we were being lazy last time. Anyway, I got this little segment. See if I can. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see these little tiny things. This was from a couple things from the Joel's memorial service. I started putting together more of that for Emily, trying to put it together in little segments so it wasn't like 2.5 hours long to look at.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find this here. Here's Chris doing his best Jeff at the memorial for Joel.
Our young genius over here is Chris Fenimore, all the way from Pittsburgh, coming here to show his loyalty and his support for Joel. And the voice of an angel. Well, back in the day, it was the voice of an angel. We're going to see what the hell we have now. But
one bright and shining light that taught me wrong from right, I found in my mother's eyes. Those baby tales she told of streets all paved with gold, I found in my mother's eyes. Just like a wandering sparrow, one lonely soul, I'll walk the straight and narrow,
sing it, Joey, sing
just to seek my goal. God's gift from above, one pure, unselfish love I found in my mother's eyes. Thank you.
There you have it. Wonderful.
Shout out to the spirit of Jeff Olson.
Well, you haven't lost a thing, kid. That's great. Leave your number with the girl at the door. Let's keep your union card up to date. We'll be in touch, okay?
That was great, Chris.
That was fun.
That was nice.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I used to love.
Speaking of memorial, Mike Johnson passed away this morning.
Oh, no. I was going to ask
Well,
you about Mike.
Yeah, when I first went and saw him when he checked in the hospice, he said he was ready to go. Told me, and his birthday was April 26th, and he said, I'll never make it. I'll have to renew my license because I'll be dead. And so he, the last time I saw him, he was pretty much in and out of consciousness a few days ago. And his sister sent me, she texted me this morning and said he had just died, and she sent me his obituary, which I forwarded to Tom. Thought he might send it. I don't have the whole list. He could send it the list, or Billy, if you've got the list, I'll send it. But one of the last times we talked, he said these Zoom sessions meant so much to him. And he said, tell everybody thanks. So kept him connected as he couldn't leave the house for the last, bit of time. His lungs were so weak. So I think it's death is always this interesting thing. And when you're in the shape that he was in, and he said, I'm never checking out this place alive. And he had prepared himself well as best I could tell. So I think it's kind of blessed sadness. But it's time to go. It's time to go, and you let go. And it's tough. It was real tough on his sister because she took care of him for quite some time. And it's always tough taking care of somebody who's on the downhill stretch. So,
and another brother too, right, or something? Is that what?
Yeah, he's got a brother at home who's got some PTSD and some other stuff from I think from Vietnam, if I remember Mike telling me correctly. And so this cutbacks with the Doge cutbacks at the Veterans Administration are making it hard to get services for him. So his sister Cheryl had Mike at home and his brother, and so it's been rugged, shall we say, for her. And but he's out somewhere, wherever somewhere is.
If you can, if you could send the little bit, my way, I can make sure we get it on the Zoom or to everybody,
Okay.
Or if you say, because Tom did not forward it. Well, he's been kind of busy today. He was driving.
Yeah, that's what
grandkids.
Yeah.
Say, Gene.
Hey, are you talking about
Oh,
Mike
hey.
Johnson?
Yeah, he died this morning.
Yeah.
Weird. I had a feeling. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that. Yeah, I know he'd been struggling, but well, we've all got a expiration date.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, it's funny. One of the reasons I wanted to be here today is I just had a feeling about Mike. Hadn't heard him from a while.
Yeah. Oh, here's an old one.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Well, Mike hasn't been on the call for a couple of weeks anyway, because
Right. Right.
we,
He tried real hard. It was I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He was on and he was very talkative, but he was losing his wind as he was there, and
yeah.
he
Yeah.
signed off. But yeah,
How old was he?
83, I think.
So he must have just turned
His birth,
83, right?
yeah, his birthday was April 26th. So
April 26th.
yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. We had a few.
I worked with Mike many times, and we've known each other since the beginning of it all back in the 70s. Just a great guy and a real trooper. He would show up and he'd be the one that would put up with anything no matter what and get it done. And he's a pretty good drummer too. A lot of people didn't know that. That's why he was such a good washboard player.
that's where he got his start in. He was a drummer in a high school band. Plus, he was also in marching band too.
Well, it's good to see you guys. Sorry I haven't been here lately. It's rare when I have a Thursday afternoon available, but I was gonna do it today, thinking about Mike, and here we are. Here I am.
Well, and you already started relating some stories about Mike. Do you have any favorite Mike Johnson memories or?
I'll have to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, a particular moment or something that he's mentioned a few things. I did not know Mike until actually the Zoom. I met him at the 50th reunion, but there were so many people there I didn't know, but fortunately I caught a lot of videos of him performing, the before and after the show. So
He was down at Mardi Gras in '73. That's what he said. He was 73. I was just wondering. I don't remember. I guess he was playing.
Right, I remember him. No, he was waiting tables.
Yeah, that's where Tom and I met him, and then we took off after a couple months after the Mardi Gras. Went back to California where we used to work, and then we stopped in Denver and ended up working at the Mustache in Denver for a few shifts and stayed with Mike for a couple of weeks. And
Oh.
New Orleans didn't have a fire truck at that time, and Denver did. So we were in the St. Patty's Day parade, I believe it was, with the fire truck, which you had to constantly refill with water. And I'm certain that we should have had a drunk driving ticket for everybody on there. No one should have been driving. Yeah, but it was fun. And then he was a good guy. We did some other stuff together. I started a web company. And he worked for me for a while back in the mid '90s, and we hung out together. And then we didn't because life got busy and we got old.
mhm.
But
Hey, the one thing about getting old, when you wake up and you say, "Hey, I'm still here," that's kind of the way I look at it.
that's right.
I get another
I still
shot.
have aches and pains, and that's a good thing.
Well, you talk about the Denver Mustache Truck and St. Patty's Day. I've been sober now 33 years, but I wasn't sober then. And my memories of that were the kegs of green beer on the truck, which of course we were imbibing as we went down. And we would get in front of the reviewing stand and stop the truck and play Temptation while one of the waiters got up and did the strip and mooned the reviewing stand. Of course, then we had to go and play the gig that same night. So
It's like
everything was
Hey,
green inside and out.
Everything was
Hey,
normal.
hey, Snake.
hey, Snake, your audio is muted, Snake. Your mic is muted, Snake.
How's that?
There you
That's
go.
it. We can hear you now. Okay.
You knew about Mike, huh?
Kent was just passing on the news that Mike had passed this morning.
Who?
Mike Johnson passed away this morning, Kent was saying.
Oh, sorry to hear that. How you doing, Gene?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm busy as
Seen you-
hell. Yeah.
Seen you in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a Martha Johnson getting on. Is that any relation to Mike?
I don't know.
That's Harold Johnson. That's Martha's my wife, and I'm H. So Martha is
okay.
actually
I'm sorry.
H.
Okay, no, because
No, it's okay. You wouldn't know.
yeah, I've heard your. I'm not seeing your face or anything. No, we just have a caption.
Turn the camera on, H.
The mysterious
There you are.
trombone player.
Oh. Okay, all right.
There. That's it.
Hey, H.
Hey, H.
Hey, man. Hello. Howdy.
So
Yeah.
H. Mike Johnson passed away this morning.
I heard that, man. Petrocelli sent me a text, man.
Yeah.
Pretty sad, man. It's kind of a shocker, man. You know, another brother. I know he wasn't doing well, man, but when you hear the inevitable, man, it just hits you in the face, man. You know, Mike was such a good cat.
Good to see you here on the Zoom. You see your buddy Gene LeBeau over there, huh?
Yay, Gene.
Hey, how you doing, H?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Great.
Good to see you, man.
Not often we have two trombone players that originated in the Denver club together.
That's right. And this trombone player is wearing.
New Orleans crew shirt. Yeah.
That's
New
right.
Orleans?
That's right. I'm actually gonna revitalize the band and get a band together and wear the t-shirts. I got a whole box of t-shirts, so might as well do something with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, Mike was always there to help set up, you know. I mean, he was just a real trooper. Always had a great attitude. He'd be back there playing the washboard, and it's the thing about his washboard playing is it was good because you didn't notice it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And yeah,
Right.
and he'd add it just right. He had his good rhythms. He was very into it, trying to get the best sound. Of course, he taught me more about washboard than I ever wanted to know or thought I needed to know. But everything had to do with the thimbles on his fingers, and of course, he wore them out a bunch of times. And of course, that's something that I wouldn't even consider thinking about having to have extra thimbles for your fingers. But
Mhm.
you know, in the early days in Colorado, back in the 70s. I mean, we didn't think anything about driving from Denver up to Dillon, the town, before the reservoir, and you know, playing a gig and then driving back. I mean,
Right.
the guys are probably still doing that. I think about driving on that, and that's before they had I-70. You go over
Right.
Loveland Pass the old way, you know, the old way. But I remember when we were playing at the Bull and Bush, when we had the Solar Energy Band, which was about a 7-piece band on Sunday nights. Mike was always a part of that. We had 2 Voice of Theater speakers and a PA head, and Dennis Conry's the only one that had a pickup truck. So guess who got to haul the speakers around? And Mike was always there to help them load them up and unload them. So
Yeah.
stuff like that I remember.
So he passed, what was it, yesterday or today?
This morning.
This morning.
Hey, Billy, I just sent you Mike's obituary in your email. So
okay. Yeah, I
pass that along.
might not be able to pull it up before the thing. I was just looking for some photos with Mike in them.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was from the Carnegie Hall.
Hey, we had a fun time. Mike and Snake and I were roommates.
Ah,
That's true.
can you send me that obituary as well?
Yeah, I think whoever's on the list for the Zoom, Billy or Tom can send it to him. I don't have anybody else's email particularly. Maybe I could dig down and find it probably, but
Yeah, if I have it in my email, I can cut and paste. I can paste it to the Zoom invitation. You know, so it'd be all with that. You know.
Yeah. I'd like to have that as well. but I should be on the list, man. So it should be good. You know.
Yeah. Well, H, I don't know if I've met you in person, but I hear your name all the time. When we're looking at old pictures, they'll just go down naming people that are in the photos, and it's, oh, that's H. That's H.
Yeah. I kind of came behind Gene LeBeau, man, at Denver, man. Mike Gentry was the band leader at the time, man, when I jumped in and started playing with a bunch of guys, and then played in the New York club for a year, and then went back to Colorado after that. But yeah, he was a hell of a cat, man. He was a good bartender, man. You know, he got right in it with the waiters, man, getting everybody going, man. He was a live wire, man. Always dug music, man. Always had a great attitude, man. It was a lot of fun, man. You know, and it was always great to see him, man, when we got together at festivals and stuff, and hanging out, man. So it's a real loss, man. Got great memories of Mike, man, and hanging with Mike, and I think we roomed together when we did the Oklahoma City thing, man. You know, with Johnny Barr and the opening the Your Father's Mustache exhibit there at the Banjo Museum, man. So Mike and I hung out a lot there, man. So it got a lot of good memories with Mike there, man.
Guys, those of you that don't know H he was in the last band You Father's Mustache ever had. Full-time band. It was me and H and Danny and Joe Terrell. That was the New York club. We were the last full-time band. Yeah. The last 3 months of the mustache, that was it. Me and H.
And when was that, Barry? What time frame was that?
That was November, December of 75 and January of 76.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's Mike looking in on us right now, taking a picture.
And I was lucky. I'm wearing he bequeathed me 4 shirts of his Hawaiian shirts. So I'm wearing one of them today. He said, you're the person I know here who wears Hawaiian shirts almost as much as I do. So that was kind of fun when he bequeathed me those. So I these are very special, these 4 shirts.
You have to follow it. I have to see the whole thing. Here we go. All right. So what's the pattern on that one? That's
it's got fish and it's got sun on it. It's got people paddling. It looks like Hawaiian, maybe. So got a Polynesian theme to it. So
that's great.
Henceforth, every Zoom, I shall have a Mike Johnson Hawaiian shirt on. I'll rotate them every. I got 4 of them, so get used to
it. I think Mike had a collection of mustache paraphernalia and stuff, bugs and stuff, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And be interesting to find out, where that ends up, because he was he was totally mustache. He was all about it.
He bequeathed a couple 200 items plus to the Rocky Mountain Music Museum, and that's actually in the obituary. Yeah, he was real proud to be able to give a whole couple hundred items, washboards, and a whole bunch of stuff. Plus, he had sold his house and made a considerable contribution to help keep the Rocky Mountain Music Museum going. And he said, if anybody wants to, it says in his note, but if anybody wants to give any money, he's not going to have a service. If anybody wants to have him, remember by sending money to the Rocky Mountain Music Museum. So,
thanks for letting us know.
Obituary.
Yeah, thanks for letting us know.
And you know what? I don't think there was anyone as well versed in the whole current trad scene. I would say going back the last 20 years to today than Mike. He knew all the players, what they did, where they were playing, what bands were together, where they were performing. He was really well versed in all that, following it.
Yeah, I should have had more pictures ready with Mike in them for today. I put together some things, but he sent me over the past year or whatever that since he's been doing a lot with the Zoom, a lot of his washboard. He was a member of the National Washboard association or something. So I've got lots of little lapel pins from the washboard thing, and I think he was starting to get rid of things, just knowing that he wasn't going to be around. So he sent me an assortment of stuff I have in a box over here, just in case I wanted to use it on some of the Zoom meetings.
I think he started Washboard International, didn't
He
Well, he
may
had a
have.
website called washboards.com.
he? Yeah. I know he had them out in Sacramento, which is a big deal to get anything out there. I mean, it's not a walk in the park, but I remember him talking about some of the festivals where he had the washboards out there.
He did about 70 festivals, he told me,
dark spots you want to fix.
total.
Potatoes are
So
the
that's pretty
best.
cool.
Everyone laughs when they hear about this dark spot fix.
And of course,
Until you see the result.
who could forget all the washboards at Carnegie Hall? I mean, that was you just can't describe that to people and have them believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a trooper, all right. Well, I'm so glad that I joined you guys today so that we could talk about Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where you-
likewise.
If you go to
Where you living now, Chief?
washboards.com, that's still up. I don't know what he's going to. I forgot. I never asked him when I was visiting him what he was going to do with that. But it's washboards.com is still up and running. He last updated on March 9th, 2009, but it's still there. So, oh, I'm sorry. Last update May 5th, 2024. So there's some pictures and there's a bunch of stuff. So if you want to check the washboards.com out, it's still alive.
Hey, Gene, where you living now?
Dallas?
Dallas?
Yeah, I've been in Dallas here for almost 30 years now. I was on the cruise ship living in LA and cruise ship in Hawaii, and then we moved to Dallas in 95 and bought this house and moved into this house and bought it in 98. We've been here ever since. But got grandkids, I got 5 great grandkids. My oldest great grandson's gonna be 16 this year.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
And he's just a sweetheart of a guy. Got a great name. His name is Jake Santana.
Did you play the guitar?
Yeah, I was just saying, I was going to ask, does he play guitar?
No, he plays some cornet, he plays some ukulele, likes to sing, he also likes to act. He's just a great guy. And then my youngest great grandkids live here in Dallas, a little boy about 3.5 it's like watching myself grow up. I mean, I understand him like nobody does, and he just, and he's got a little sister who's almost 2, and she's just so precious. So, that's why we're here in Dallas is the grandkids, which are grown now, and the great grandkids.
Great.
It's because we were talking about time earlier. I mean, and Barry knows this from all of his brood there in New Orleans. You're either there or you're not, and you can't go back and make it up.
Right.
So you show up as much as you can. Yeah, my wife and I were just in the recording studio this past week, working with a singer. And my wife, Glennie Ty, you probably don't know much about her. She's actually world renowned. She is the vocal coach for some of the top singers, artists in the world. I can't even tell you who they are because I'm not allowed to, but let me tell you, they're the top ones. But that's not all the time. They fly into town or we go to LA or something. She works for them. But we had a singer here in town who's a pretty good singer. She's got a lot of money and she wanted to go in and record some songs. So the reason I say this is since you're all musicians, you understand. And I had all the charts worked out. We done some rehearsing. We went into the recording studio and in 4 hours, we laid down 6 song tracks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she gets it and then let's move on. She knows what she's doing. So anyway, that's what this past week, not this week, but the week before has been. So we were gonna, believe it or not, drive to Colorado on Monday, and then she got a call for one of her artists flew into town to work with her today and tomorrow. So we'll be out at the lake with my stepson and grandkids and stuff for Memorial Day. We were going to be in Colorado because I got a granddaughter in Colorado with 2 great grandkids. So I don't know how that happened. I'm just a trombone player who used to get drunk on the back of the fire truck. You know what I mean? And I know you probably heard this story, but my career almost ended in New Jersey in 1970 on my first gig at the Mustache at Point Pleasant. Bill Higbee, John McLernan was playing tuba, Bill Higbee was playing banjo. And it was the 4th of July, and we were playing God Bless America. And the little curved stage had an a brass rail around it, and I decided for effect to balance on the rail and play my trombone. Of course, I fell on my ass. The slide went flying across the room. Everybody's singing God Bless America, and this lovely lady in her polyester pantsuit caught it between her legs and just froze, and it was just sticking up between her legs, you know. That was the only trombone I had. And of course, I'm on my ass laughing. John McLaren's got the sousaphone bell on the floor. He's rolling around laughing, and Higbee's going, "What the hell's going on?" You know. And I had to get off the stage and go gingerly thank the lady as she saved my slide. Otherwise, my career would have been over right there. I didn't have another trombone.
That's classic.
Yeah, that's a good one, man.
Well, speaking of trombone players, I have a clip from the Carnegie Hall show when the trombone players took the center stage. Okay.
Simply amazing.
There's a band in New Orleans that's popular now, and it's called Bonorama, and it's all trombones, but they play different kinds of stuff, and they're really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My wife, opera singer, studio singer, she said, and by the way, her second husband, I'm her third husband, was a classical trombone player. And he couldn't play jazz, but he could play all the classical stuff. She liked me because I could play the jazz. And she said, I don't know how you play trombone. I said, it's impossible. Said you have to practice it to the point where you can't think about it. Because you literally, when you're playing, can't think about what you're doing. Am I right, H?
That sounds pretty good, man.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good synopsis. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to put in the time. It's like I tell my students, now I've been playing for 60 years. I tell my students, every morning I wake up, I don't know where fifth position is. I can find all the other ones, but that one I have to relearn. It doesn't matter how many times I've played it, it's out in the middle of nowhere.
That's a bad one, man. I think that's the worst position, man.
Yeah.
The rest of us don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, see, I barely understand.
So
yeah.
physically describe it. I mean, it's like what is the fifth position?
Okay, look at it this way. You've heard a bugle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, a trombone is a bugle that goes down in half steps 7 times. So you have 7 positions. So it's like da 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 da. You go down 7 times. So there's 7 positions. The last one, you're almost throwing the slide off the end.
Oh, okay.
Right. And it's easy to find 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And 6 and 7 is out here. But in between 4 and 7, right there in the middle, and H can tell you, is 5. And it's very easy to not be in the right place for 5. So you just really literally have to, every day, I practice the D flat major scale over and over again so I know where that is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
The elusive fifth position, man.
The elusive fifth position. It doesn't matter how long you've played it. Yeah, especially if you laid off for a while.
Right.
I
Yeah,
used to tell that to my girlfriend before the bed broke. It's the fifth position.
The elusive fifth position. How are you doing, Barry? You looking good?
Thank you. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are your little grandbabies doing? Your little boy, how old is he now? Little grandson.
The grandson, I don't know, he's about 10,
Oh my God.
9. They into baseball and all that, so that's cool.
Yeah, last time I remember seeing him, he had a whole lot of sisters and cousins that were girls, and he was the only little boy,
He
right?
still is the only little boy.
Oh boy, I'll bet they just spoil him rotten too.
6 girls and 1 boy is what we got.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, here's I don't have all the Danny and Barry shots, but I have an old one. And then I have one that we shot last week on Monday. Let me get it again here. They changed a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Just a little bit, man.
Just a little bit.
Just a bit.
Yeah, we all had some lunch at Frankie and Johnny's in New Orleans last Monday, so it's nice to have our little mini mustache get together sometimes.
Danny's still pretty busy, isn't he?
Yes.
He's working 4 nights a week. Now, he could work more if he wanted, but he's doing 4 nights and happy with it.
Where's he playing?
He's at the Maison Bourbon most of the time.
Yeah. Is he playing piano or
both?
Tuba or both?
Both. He's switching it up. That's cool.
Thank God for the old Maison
I stopped
Bourbon.
2 years ago, and I'm happy with what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey.
it was time for me.
this was something Mike sent to me a long time ago, and at least he took trouble to label all the people because I had no idea who they were.
Oh my Lord.
Wow.
I can look at it. I don't know if y'all can read all that or not, but Mike Johnson's the second from the right, and Kay Wade is next to him. Then Bob Adams on the banjo. Then more washboard, Stan Klein, Peter Babcock with the yellow shirt and a cowboy hat, Mike Ward, Danny Sullivan. I know we've seen pictures of her. She did some mustache stuff. The other ones, I'm not sure who they are. Sally Lucas, David Littlefield, Bob Butler, Laundry Fat, Rebecca Lindsay, and Roscoe Goose, aka Stu Helm. Does any of those names ring a bell to y'all?
No, I'm Bob Adams. Sure.
Yeah, I knew Bob Adams.
Yeah.
Sound familiar.
Peter Babcock, Danny Sullivan.
Danny, yeah.
Yeah. When I was back in New York in '75, Danny Sullivan, I think, was married to Bob Vanacek, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's where I met her, man. But I think she's living down here in Florida somewhere now, man, isn't
She
she?
passed.
I think she passed away at age.
No
Yeah.
shit. Oh man.
Gunny.
Boy, you guys are nothing but good news today, man.
Hey, since we started this, we've lost probably about 5 people that were on the Zoom that aren't Zooming with us anymore. It was
Yeah.
the first one.
They're zooming somewhere else.
The first one was Steve Yoakum. He was checking in from
Copenhagen or something. wasn't it?
Ira, you see who's
Holland.
here? Your buddy H.
Yeah, I know. I see him. I didn't
Hey.
know he changed his name to Martha.
Yeah. Well, some people are changing, man. You know, it's just
It's a new world.
it's a new
How you
world.
doing, H? Good?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to see you, man.
It's good. Good.
Yeah.
Well, Kent,
Doing
you can
good.
tell Ira about Kent was
How's any update on Mike Johnson? How he's doing? Or
Yeah, can't.
Yeah, he died this morning.
he passed this morning, huh? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy. From what I read, he wanted to go. His sister said.
Yep. Yeah, and last time I talked to him, he said he was ready to go, and that took about 2 weeks to finally go. But he said, "I'm ready to go." So
Yeah, I'm sure
Good
there
for
was
him.
I'm sure there was a lot of suffering, man.
Yeah.
It's he was probably thank God he's not suffering anymore like that, man. That's a
he
terrible
was
thing.
having a really hard time breathing, and every day his lung capacity was going down from like 16 to 15 to 10, and so there was a lot of stuff going on, and they tried a bunch of different medications, and he was in and out of consciousness for days and days. And for the last conversation I had, this last thing he said to me is I held his hand. He said, "I'm ready to go." So I said, "All right, buddy."
So Mike had a sister. Did he have a brother as well, man?
I don't know. I know I got emails a couple of times from his sister. I don't know if she was older or younger.
Yeah, she was a younger sister. He had a brother, Brad, who was home. He has another brother named Mark, who was lives in Montana, and I think there was one more. So,
oh wow,
man!
Yeah. And then he discovered about 4 or 5 years ago that he had a daughter, which he didn't know about.
Really?
So they reconnected. Yeah, they reconnected, and it was glorious.
I'm glad they got to do
so
that,
she
man.
Actually,
she
actually came and saw him several times, and he didn't know there was fun-filled night in the '60s, and so he was able to reconnect with her, and it was as he said, it was glorious. So,
wow,
very special.
Yeah,
probably during his days in the mustache, maybe.
I don't remember the dates, but it could have been.
It could have been.
Maybe he was telling me one day he was in and out of stuff, and he was telling me stories, and then they were kind of running together, and he said it could have been the '60s, could have been the '70s. I don't know if any of you had any of those experiences where the months, years ran together, but
Wow.
but he was real glad that he was able to reconnect with her just a few years ago, and she actually came to spend time with him several times toward the end. So it was good.
That's a good thing. That's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Good thing.
So you said there's not gonna be a surface for him?
Yeah, he didn't want a service. So
Well, we're having it right here.
That's right.
right. Well, and as his sister told me, as he told me, this Zoom was such an important part of his life because he stayed connected. And you guys as musicians have another view. I'm not a musician. Okay, I was a waiter and a bartender, and he connected with you guys in a different way because he played an instrument, and that's a different connection there. But it was big, and so I want to thank Billy and Tom for getting us all together, because without that, he would never have stayed in touch with you guys. So thanks to you guys, but also this was a big part of his life, and that's what he told me. He said, "Thank everybody for showing up." He used to call me whenever I was, not participating in this, and he said, "You mean you got to get on? You got to get on. There's all these great people." And I said, "Well, I know that." And so finally, I reconnected, and so he prodded me to do that. He used to call me, "Get the fuck on there." I said, all right. So,
Hey,
so
Barry,
anyway,
are those storms in Arkansas anywhere near where Mike Gentry lives?
They're pretty close
Really? He's okay though?
so far.
Okay.
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, they've been having a lot of tornadoes and stuff out in Arkansas.
Yeah,
By Little Rock, and I don't know what town he lives in.
Well, he lives a few hours from Little Rock.
Okay. Yeah, but you never
Is
know
he
with
in
these
Reed
tornadoes
Springs?
where they're going.
He's almost
Yeah.
in Missouri, which really took a big hit from it too. I think he's right outside of. I think he told me he's about an hour or so from Branson, so he's not far from Missouri.
Yeah, they've been having some nasty. My sister lives not about an hour north of Branson. Mike's about an hour south of there. They've been having some shit. She's been lucky that it's on the south side of them, and it's not good for Mike, but it's good for her. But they've had heavy rain, which he hasn't had the tornadoes and the other shit they've had, weather shit they've had south of there. So,
Wow. We better never have a tornado in Florida because there's no basements.
That's right.
That's right.
I have nowhere to go.
Yeah, if you did have a basement, you better
they
bring a
just have
snorkel.
hurricanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
No,
you
we
had a
got the
basement, you'd need a
hurricanes.
scuba suit just in case.
Here's an
Yeah.
old New York picture since we got some New York folks.
Oh, good old Russ.
I remember that club. 7th Avenue and 10th Street.
Yeah.
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 That was it.
Yeah. On the right of that top picture, that's the Marauders office.
Yep.
He was a character. Yeah, John Murata was with us quite a few times, and he gave us some really good information. He was just fun.
Oh, yeah.
Between him and Jeff, they could have had a stand-up routine.
I bet.
Jeff was a character, always was.
So I remember when I was working in 70, my first gig down there at Point Pleasant, I was doing 5 nights a week in Point Pleasant on the trombone, although I was a tuba player. And then I'd come up and work Friday night in New York at the club, and then Saturday night at Lake Compounds. Of course, that's where Murata sent us. And then run back to New York, get my car, and drive back down to New Jersey.
Yeah, man.
How many of you guys played Lake Compounds?
I never did.
I never did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one.
Yeah, Jeff talked about that a lot.
Especially that roller coaster.
The roller coaster. Well, I'll tell you two memories I have. Art and Julie Hovey, she was pregnant, and she was playing washboard, and her water broke on one of the gigs. We were up at Lake Compounds on the gig. But the other one, and Jeff remembered this, we were playing, they had a big, old-fashioned auditorium, and these real long tables. There was a whole bunch of guys at this one table, and so it was time to finish. And we finished, and they wanted the band to keep playing, and they were pounding on the table. And the manager came up and said, "No, the band's got to stop." They wanted to play, and so finally, they literally got up and broke the table apart. They were a bunch of woodcutters or something. It was like Jeff's looking at the band and said, "I guess we should have kept playing."
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, John Murata. He was in charge of sending the show bands around, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, this photo here,
Oh boy, that's 13 years ago.
Tom put this on the thing, and we'd always talk about why John McLaren had on his blue jeans. Well, John McLaren sent Tom and I an email that explained that he had gone backstage and was changing, and nobody had told him they were going to do a publicity shot. So he was in the middle of changing, and they ran him out. They said, "Hurry up, we've got to get the shot quick." So he put his vest on and ran back out there. So that's the reason John has on his blue jeans. He sent an email to explain that. Okay.
I didn't know Herb had a blue trombone.
Yeah. He also, John also went on to say that this particular benefit that they were doing, that Joel had dreamed it up while he was recovering from his illnesses, and it was a benefit that he had. This was the benefit that he did. This was done after our 50th reunion, and that Joel had come up with the idea while he was recovering. At the same time he was working on the 50th reunion at Carnegie Hall. I guess he was just coming up with some ideas, and everybody came and pulled through for him. But
Hey, Gene, do you think that's
great photo?
Is that one of those P-bone things, man?
Yeah.
I don't know when those came out, man, but it looks like it could be one of those.
Yeah. My little great grandson gets to play his blue P-bone. He comes over and he grabs the case and opens it up and says, "I want to play my blue trombone." He's only 3.5.
Man, how cool
and you
is
know
that,
what?
man?
He has an embouchure. He can get a sound on it. Hey,
That's amazing.
The only one I've ever had that actually wanted to play the trombone. They've had a couple of trumpet players and grandkids and stuff, but no. He's going to be tall, and he's already asking to play the blue trombone. Oh, how did we get here?
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. Could be worse, right? I mean,
yeah, it could be drums.
Yeah, that's for sure.
This is just a little 40. It's a real short clip from the 50th reunion when the band was playing upstairs. It's just a part of the song "Waiting for the Robert E. Lee." See a lot of the people that were playing at the time, though. So.
That's a great clip.
Simply amazing.
And a good time was had by all.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that was my favorite part of the reunion was when the band was playing down in the hotel
In the bar,
lobby, and then upstairs that first night when everybody was just getting together and jamming. I had a blast,
Yeah. Oh, that was great.
Great time.
Great clip. There's Peter Babcock right in the center, just working it out.
You're getting the crowd going.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Of course.
I think I saw Charlie Borneman in there too, man. Haven't seen him in a while.
Charlie was there.
Yeah, let's see. Well, this was the, of course, Mike's kind of cut off in the picture. Let me see if I can get, this is, I think when y'all were playing at the Oklahoma City, is that when y'all, the induction into the
Oklahoma City with the Denver crew.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
You can see the top of Mike's head anyway. So
Yeah, was that theater we were opening for somebody? Is that the picture or
the Kingston Trio?
Kingston
Trio,
right? Yeah,
Yeah, the Kingston Trio. That's right. Oh yeah.
That was a lot of fun, man. Really enjoyed that hang, man.
That's,
course,
you know, for you banjo players, man, if you haven't been to that museum, it'll blow your mind. And I didn't really appreciate banjos like I should have until I went to that museum and realized, holy shit, you know, that's a whole nother, it's like rock guitar players. I mean, I'm just playing a slide pipe, a piece of plumbing, and there's this whole thing with banjos and the incredible engraving and all that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of great artwork, man. Yeah, it was something.
I think Mike.
Jerry Sacco.
I think Mike sent that picture to me too. Is that in the?
I guess that was Sacco's washboard.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the pieces he said he gave to the Rocky Mountain Music Museum, I believe. I could be mistaken, but I think so.
I think you're right.
Yeah, that's classic.
Yeah.
There was another cat that was a lot of fun, man. Jerry Sacco, man.
Oh, he was a great guy.
He was a great cat, man. A lot of fun.
I have a clip that I haven't played in a while. It's back from the 50th reunion also, and it's John Marotta talking about getting the jobs for the road bands and stuff. And it was, see if I can get that real quick here, because he was a character.
Marotta had plenty of stories.
He and Jeff.
Yeah, he and Jeff both. They were.
And he thought that I'd be a good bodyguard. So I come to this meeting today, and I'm saying, wow, I can't wait to find out all the great memories we had. First thing Joe says to me, he said, John, you know what my favorite memory of you is? He said, you came up 2 flights of stairs to my bedroom. He said to me, Joel, I'm going to be sick. I laid down in bed and I had a convulsion. I put a book in your mouth. I said, my wife says to him, what happened? He said, he chewed it to shit. 2 minutes later, I go over to Ron Slater, and Ron Slater said, John, remember when you had a convulsion in my house? I put my wallet in your mouth. I still got the teeth mark in the mouth. Jeff Olswang comes to me. Jeff says, John, remember Lake Compounds? You had a convulsion in Lake Compounds. I called my father, who was a doctor, to take care of you. All right. Then Pete comes over to me. He says, you remember Cheyenne Frontier days? You were in the orphanage where we were staying, and you fell and you hit the radiator, and you had a... If I remembered all the convulsions, I wouldn't be an epileptic. The thing that I remember most about Joel, I am the most appreciative about Joel, is he gave you a chance to fail. And I took a lot of opportunities. I started out as a bookkeeper, I became a purchasing agent, I became an auditor, and then one day he had this crazy idea that the only one who could run the musicians outside of the club was another musician. Now, not being a musician, I thought that was the stupidest idea I had ever had. Everything was going along fine, and we had a guy named Ron Gall, who was a tuba player, running the show. 2 guys with an Italian accent walked in and said, where's the money from the restaurant? They didn't know that we didn't have money in the office. So he said, I don't have the money. They took out a gun, they shot at him, and then by his ears stuck in the wall, Ron quit. I said to Joe, why? I said to Joe, here's my chance, let me run with you. He says, okay. He says, just one thing you got to remember. You got to book more than 1 show in a row. You got to have as many people, as many shows as you can. That way you spread the expense over it. So I sent people to Lake Compounds. We got some people from Compounds here. And I said, look, guys, you get all the beer you can, and you ride the roller coaster as much as you want. Sent them to Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Yeah.
Put them up in the left for the wing of a orphanage. I even, for entertainment, I tried to break a Mustang from it. They got a lot of laughs out of that. We went to some of the strangest, weirdest places I could find. Not because I wanted to, but because I listened to Joel. Book as many as you can. And that was the beginning of my success in life. All my life, I just remember, the more you do, the more money you make.
Okay.
It was great to hear it straight from John's mouth.
I still remember Jeff Olswang when he had the funeral services for his penis on the Zoom.
Oh yeah.
And Marana was on too,
God.
and they went back and forth, back and about. It was just hysterical. We were almost crying. We were laughing so hard. Yeah.
Yeah, he booked us when I was in New York one time. Murata booked us, Jeff's band, to play on the Staten Island Ferry, and it was for the UN Youth Council. And so we go out on this ferry, and there's all these international young college people, right? And we start playing, and this group of Russian young men comes over, and they're standing around us, and they're singing every song. They've got the whole mustache. I mean, everybody else could ignore us. They're having a good time. Honest to God, no matter what we played, they sang. And they sang the right lyrics. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. We didn't go by the Statue of Liberty, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm going to pull up the Mike Johnson clips I would rather like to have had today. I have some things, some pictures and some clips that he was actually playing in some.
Next week,
Yeah, for next week, and I'll get the obit together. And anybody else that has anything they wanted to send along, that'd be great. We'll put it together. And if anybody else had anything else they wanted to chime in about Mike, I didn't know him real well, but he definitely embraced the Zoom meeting and contributed as much as he could, to it, to the knowledge and the memories that we all.
Yeah, he did.
Hell of a guy.
Yeah.
I know that he was at the Mustache in '73. I don't remember meeting him. I'm sure I did though, because I was working there.
He was peeping over my shoulder when I was on the balcony.
Yeah,
that was Mike peeking over.
When Rick had his purple nipples and
oh God, should have
Mike
brought that
Johnson
up.
over his shoulder. Yeah. So I'm sure I met him, but it was just one of those kind of things. It's a blur. Back when we worked Mardi Gras with the way all the bands too, you start and then like 12 hours later you stop. And the rest between that was just like a blur. There was no breaks, no lunch, nothing. You just go,
I played along with him many, many times.
Yeah.
I have a Mike Johnson story I just remembered. There's an old saying, don't go into the club you work in on your night off. And for some reason on the Mustache, I went on my night off and I was wearing, God knows, white bell bottoms. And I was drinking shots of beer out of a pitcher every minute, just to kind of make it last. And somehow Mike was there and he talked me into doing Temptation with the waiters. And I got up on the stage and I was over on the stage, right, and doing the whole thing. And I finally got to where I dropped my pants and I fell off the stage into the arms of this older woman. And she said, "Can I take you home?" And I'm trying to pull my pants. You never go into the club on your night off. You did, Nate.
Well, finish the story. Did you go home with her?
Yeah, that's what the question was. Did you?
No, no, I couldn't get out of let me tell you, it wasn't that romantic. But yeah, Mike talked me into it. He saw that I was getting a little toasted and he said, "Hey, I know what you ought to do.
Aren't you glad there were no iPhones back then?
Oh God.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, instead of iPhone, we had Irving at our club taking pictures.
Irving, okay. Well, I think.
Hey, Billy, who was the lady in New Orleans who used to take pictures? What was her name? You remember?
Well, there was
He
one.
was a
There
cutie.
was one named Denise, and there was another one, Billingsley, something Billingsley.
Yeah,
Barry
that little
must.
space in the back. Where they
Well,
used to
Barry will remember Irving.
Barry, remember the camera girl's name, camera lady's name?
Which club?
The New Orleans.
New Orleans Club.
I remember Mary Verver did it.
Was she the cute little brunette?
Oh, she was redhead.
Or maybe she's a redhead.
Yeah.
Who else?
But
Yeah.
I think it was Denise shot a picture. It was my so-called bachelor party my night before I got married when when the band got me up on the stage. A nice picture of that, which I'm glad. You know, it's the kind of thing you're glad you get pictures sometimes. You know, so it's but
Yeah.
David
They shot a couple of pictures of Mardi Gras in '75, the last Mardi Gras there before it burned down. And I'm glad those pictures burned because that ruined my my U.S. presidential run or my senatorial run. If that would have.
I seem to remember a picture of you and togas on the stage, and then the togas disappeared, huh?
That could have been it.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I gotta run. Gotta run.
Bye, Barry.
Hey, Barry.
Hey, Barry.
Barry, say happy birthday to Dottie for me.
Yeah. Happy birthday to Dottie, Barry.
Look, I'll see y'all next week.
Okay,
Barry.
Hey, good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah, I got to
Thank
head
you,
on
Bill.
that too.
Hello.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good
Hold
to
on
see
a
everybody.
second.
You
Hold
guys
on
are
a
good.
second, please.
If you have anything, send it to me early in the week so we can put it together.
Okay, hon, what's up?
Okay.
Hey,
All right.
Barry, or hey, Billy, I'll figure out how to send you those clips.
Well,
So.
it's finishing up now. What's
Okay.
going on?
If you do you have a Google email?
Okay.
I have several Google emails.
Should I put the
just haven't
bit?
do that. I'll figure it out.
Look up Google Drive.
I'll see you soon.
You can set up a free Google Drive under your email, and you can upload things to it. You send people the link, and they can download from your Google Drive, and it's much bigger than email. Yeah.
Thanks so much for putting on that Carnegie Hall
thanks for
trombone
checking
extravaganza.
Yeah.
Hey, Gene.
So long, everybody. H,
Yep.
good seeing you.
Good seeing you too. I got to scoot
Yeah.
too, you guys. Awful great seeing you all,
Hopefully
man.
we'll see you next week.
Hope so.
Thank you.
Yeah, hope so.
Thank you. I'll try to make it next week. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll get you some pictures of Mike I have, I think, from the 25th reunion.
That would be great.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I got some.
Okay.
I'll send them out. Take care, guys.
Take care, y'all.
Great.
Till next
See y'all.
Thursday. Okay. Bye-bye.